I want to touch base on the episode where you had your one-on-one with Adrian. How did you feel about that whole conversation?
I like to lay everything out on the table like right away.
We're here to talk about something completely different.
Yeah.
This is your exit interview.
Correct, yeah. So,
welcome back to the Gray Market Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the Gray Market episode that dropped last week. With me today to start things off, I have Dave, aka SwissDave.lb.
correct.
Dave, I want to touch base on the episode before last week, the one prior to that, where you had your one-on-one with Adrian. We got a lot of feedback for that it shouldn't have been public.
There's some type of derailment.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've noticed with you is, and I hate to say it, I don't know what the term is, but a warning, because I'm going to make some changes over there, and you're going to see soon. It's a business, and we have to perform. There's a lot of money at stake, and that's where the thing is.
That he shouldn't have been like saying some of the things that he was saying to you. How did you feel about that whole conversation?
Yeah, so, I mean, I've had a ton of performance reviews in the past, and this is the first one I've had one kind of broadcast for the world to see. I think, the conversation was misconstrued, and I think it kind of shed not the best light on us, right? And I think that's unfortunate because, there was support here, and, definitely some of the things that were said in the comments were incorrect, but I do appreciate all the outreach and the support, considering my my condition and whatnot. It was really touching to see that there were people behind me.
Oh, absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Like the typical comment that a lot of our team members get, which are typically negative, to see somebody come through and just like support you and wish you the best.
For sure.
Awesome. Now, we're here to talk about something completely different.
Yeah.
This is your exit interview.
Correct. Yeah. So, a year and about a year and almost a year and 3 weeks, basically, since I started here at LB. Whatever ride it's been, I learned so much about myself, about business. Made so many friends here, and like I'll keep repeating this. This is one of the best things that's happened to me, because it was really a catalyst to bring me from my cushy life in Switzerland to kind of throw me in the gauntlet, which is Philadelphia, which is operating and doing business in the U.S. So without the kick in the ass with the gray market competition and everything, I probably would have stayed in Switzerland or not, at least found Philly, which I love. I love Philly.
And the most obvious question is why? Why are you leaving the Luxury Bazaar and market and watch sales?
So this was kind of a long time coming, if you will. Really after my stroke, it kind of put things into perspective. I'm naturally a high-strung individual. You can, in the earlier videos, you kind of caught that a little bit more. And given, I'd say, the current conditions weren't conducive to alleviating the stress that just, is detrimental to my health, right? My health and really just my, my emotional well-being, right? This is a very high-paced environment. And, I was definitely up for the challenge, but just, my priorities have changed since that event. And, I wanted to find something where I could really grow into and really use my skills. So I'm going back to kind of a more client-centric, client-facing, role. And that's something I can really lean on.
Sales of any sort are typically stress-inducing because obviously you have quotas to meet. You don't get paid if you don't sell.
Exactly, yeah.
A lot of people are like, they're looking at this lifestyle and they're like, oh my God, it's so amazing. I wish I could be a watch salesman. You start every month with zero.
Correct, yeah.
Even Anna, who generates millions in sales per month, every first of the month, she has zero and she has no idea what that month is going to bring her.
Exactly.
So that's, a lot of stress for anybody, especially somebody that, has responsibilities. Can you imagine? Like you have...
Of course, you have kids, a family,
like
a dog.
You have no idea what's going to happen. In your case, based on what happened to you, based on your physical well-being and obviously mental well-being, you could do something that won't spike those, those stress levels.
Correct. I mean, like cortisol through the roof, really. And I've been a salesman my whole life, so I understand the grind. I understand the expectation. It's just that for me, after the stroke, prior to that, we were gutting. I was having tremendous results, and I still continue to, because my kind of process, right, is that I like to spend more time with my clients. It's not so gung-ho, not as rapid fire. So I try to extract the most value from my clients and also for the company. So even if my numbers were lower, I was still having, really, really good margins, right? Sometimes double the guys upstairs, right? And if you look at it in that perspective, I'm super proud of what I've done, because I was able to, operate at a high level. Like I said, it was all a lot of learning, and for me to kind of get back to that level that I wanted to be, kind of the goals and the expectations that were set by the company, and also on a personal level, I just saw myself straying way too far, and sometimes it's better to, tear a new page and start anew, right?
Obviously, everybody's going to comment on the timing. It's like, right after the performance review.
Sure.
You get this thing. What do you want to say?
Sure. So
the argument.
So regarding the performance review, I mean, we work very closely every day, so we know what the general mood and atmosphere is. I mean, there wasn't anything kind of anything surprising, and
at least like
what came out of. I mean, if anything, that was really kind of cementing my desire to kind of move on and find something else. It was like kind of the cherry on the top, if you will. And from that point on, I said, and especially with a little bit of the reaction that I found in the YouTube comments, I was like, okay, well, maybe let me go on a limb and let me try something new and really double down and commit on it. After that, I wanted to leave on a good terms with the company rather than separate and have, people in the comments like, where's X, where's so, I as public and, as public as, our jobs, we celebrate our highs and our lows. Me taking this choice was a way to somewhat, I wouldn't say control the narrative, but at least be active, right, in my story with this company. So yeah, I think it was a natural evolution, and for me to be able to take this, the tremendous knowledge I've gained here and to apply it somewhere else, for that I'm forever grateful. What
are you gonna miss most about being a watch salesman and Luxury Bazaar?
Honestly, I'm gonna miss Shella. Shella is a ray of sunshine. You guys probably don't know Shella. No one's ever seen Shella, but she is the most cheerful and optimistic person. She, you ask her, how is she? Good. And I love that.
So strong is an understatement for her.
Yeah. So her and I were kind of kindred spirits. So what do I miss the most? I mean, I miss I really miss handling the watches, right? That was a lot of fun. But after a while, you kind of get desensitized. Yeah. I mean, that's something that I would have never thought in my wildest dreams, that, you have $1.5 million watch in your hand, and it's, it's just another watch. It could be a Seiko for all you care, right? Kind of quantifying them and turning them into, you see them as kind of as numbers on a spreadsheet versus, what they really are, which is kind of art pieces. So I think stepping out and taking a step back will give me like a newfound appreciation for really what my passion is, and that's watches. So otherwise, the trips, I love the trips. That was great. I love the trade shows because again, that was playing to my strengths of kind of meeting and interacting with fans and clients. So yeah, that's great. Also the team. I mean, I love everybody here. I love having joking with everyone, and yeah.
So you're leaving the industry completely. You're going to be doing something not related to watches and all. Mm-hmm. Do you think you're ever going to step foot?
Also, I love the Gray Market podcast. I'm sorry, bro. Like, I just have to put it out there. This was definitely the highlight for me.
This is the highlight for me.
Honestly, being up in that room, this is actually a really nice set that we have here. But being in that room, I legit felt like a Black Joe Rogan, really. So
you kind of look like
exactly right with the bald head, the physical build. I'm at the top of my form.
How are you gonna live without being, publicly visible every single week and having cameras in your face constantly and having user comments and viewer comments?
Well, it's gonna be a lot more efficient. I'm not gonna have to do my hair as much. I'm not going to. I have to, I carry a pocket mirror, not for signaling purposes, but really just to make sure that I'm picobello, as we say. I really got used to the cameras. I liked it, and it was nice to kind of have something to say and to share with you guys, because it's really humanizing, and I really loved and enjoyed, kind of meeting people who were fans of the show and didn't necessarily know me, but they felt like they knew me. So that was a great reach.
I'm sure it's going to be a lot more peaceful not having anybody, comment anything negative about you on a weekly basis.
Hey, honestly, at first I was like, why don't they love me? Like that scene in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I was really torn up about that. But now, I see this. It's kind of funny because they don't know who you are, and if anything, you grow thicker skin. So, it's part of the game. It's part of the game, and what a game it is.
Any last words before you leave Luxury Bazaar for good?
Thanks, guys, for all the support, the kind words, the love. Wouldn't have made it this far without you guys. Thanks, Luxury Bazaar family. I mean, you guys were the closest thing to family outside of Switzerland. And I'm never going to be too far away.
You are staying in Philadelphia?
I'm staying in Philadelphia. My barber is actually in the plaza over there. So once every 2 weeks, I'll pop in. Okay. Maybe not that much.
I won't miss you that.
Exactly. I'll be around. I'll be around. So,
okay.
Hey.
Well, again, pleasure having you. I mean, it was a great experience from beginning to end. You were my go-to guy for all the podcasts. It's going to be definitely a lot less exciting without you.
Hey, and also thank you to you, because you were kind of the mastermind of this gray market experience. Yeah, you were really the first point of contact that I ever had. I remember going back in the emails, like, you can't imagine the feeling, right? When I saw my little snippet at the end of the video, that was wild, because it was like, oh, I'm on TV, So yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Very happy.
Thank you.
You are, and again, I'm very proud of what you achieved here. Really sad to see you go. I think you had a lot of potential to become really, really great. But if anybody, I totally understand what you're going through and why you're deciding to choose a different path. And
yeah,
I'm not mad at it at all.
Yeah, like we say, don't be sad because it's over. Be happy because it happened, right?
Correct.
Sorry.
Well, thank you, Dave. I appreciate it.
All right, appreciate
See you
it.
around.
All right.
All right, we're back. I got Alex with me. I wanted to talk to you about this last week's episode. There's a lot of, the title, most of the episode was about sales are slowing down, numbers are not, where they're supposed to be. What are you seeing? What are you experiencing? Are sales actually slowing down, or did we just use that as clickbait?
Nah, so there's definitely like a huge slowdown in the market. Personally, for me, I've seen a lot of clients are sort of waiting it out. People want to see where the market's going to go, right? They want to see how it's going to perform in the next 2 to 3 months, because right now we're sort of at this point where the markets came down already, prices have sort of stabilized, and a lot of people, they want to get in right now. They see the pricing, it's very attractive. However, they're still sort of scared, right? They think that there's more to come, especially with everything that's going on in the world. Obviously, it's one of those things that people are just sort of playing it slow right now. They're slow rolling it per se.
What do you think? Okay, let's assume there is more to come. How much?
That's the thing I always say, is that, like, how much can this really go? How far can a 15,500 Blue Dial really go down, or a Daytona?
Yep.
That's where it actually gets a little difficult, because retail for Daytonas is still 13,000, right? So the watch trades at 30K. So people in their minds are thinking like, okay, maybe it'll go down to 20K, maybe it'll go down to 18, 19K. It's like, you sort of have to be realistic with some of these watches, some of the models, and figure out, okay, what's actually going to go down, what's not as desirable, right? Because Daytonas are always going to be desirable. There has to be a line that's drawn, and I don't think people are ready to draw that line. I think people still have a faith that things will come down a little bit more.
You rely on history. The Pandas have never really sold at retail.
Exactly.
Secondary market,
right?
That is. And yes,
even at the lowest in the market, they were still trading over.
Yeah. And people are getting calls from their ADs. Nobody's getting calls for a Panda unless you're a lifelong customer.
Exactly. That's something I was thinking about, is like, what makes people think that Rolex ADs are just going to start giving away watches, right? I feel like Rolex actually likes what's going on right now. They like what's happened in the past 3 years. So they're trying to keep that exclusivity going. They're not just going to flood the market now that things have slowed down for us, right? Our market, in a way, doesn't really affect their sales, because they're always going to be selling stuff, right? So yeah, that line of thinking sort of has been causing a serious slowdown in the market, which I've seen, and obviously the whole crew has seen, but also people across the industry have seen. Wholesale chats are basically dead right now. Nobody's marking sold. Nobody's buying anything, right? It's just sell, 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 sell. So,
But the numbers that we kind of do, we're not that far off. Sure, obviously we're way far off from like the highest times.
Yeah.
But again, historically, our numbers, I mean, year after year, we're doing, better and better. And this year, we're not projecting it to be, way below last year.
Right.
It might be a slight dip, but also at the same time, like margins go up a little bit because we sell a lot of pieces that are not your typical.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, but you also have to think about, one thing you have to think about is, our growth this year has been obviously, I don't know the exact numbers, but at least 10x what it was last year in terms of being seen by people, right? So being that we're on track to do almost the same, maybe a little bit less, but we have even more growth, that's where it'll show in like the slowdown is like, okay, we did so much this year in terms of marketing and outreach and getting exposure, but our numbers are still around the same. So maybe in a normal market, our numbers would be 2x.
Well, you talk to all the dealers. Do you see like dealers that don't have our sorts of exposure, like struggling?
Of course, yeah. I mean, listen, these guys, obviously not putting any names to it, but a lot of them live a pretty lavish lifestyle, and they've since had to draw back. And there's a lot of people that I was talking to in the height of the market that were real ballers, and I don't hear from them anymore. So, I wish them all the best. But yeah, listen, it's slowed down a significant amount. We'll see where it goes, but for now, it's sort of.
What do you think the next, this final quarter of the year are going to do? Obviously with the holidays coming up, what any projections? Obviously, you can't speak for the market, but for yourself personally.
Nah, it's tough because this is my livelihood. I sell watches, and I kind of have to separate my own opinions. But if I was a buying customer, I would be buying up watches left and right now because the prices are so good. Obviously, keeping in mind that maybe there will be, a little bit more of a drop. But if anything, that would motivate me more to buy a few now, buy a few later, and then hold on to it for the next year. I think one thing I actually always wanted to talk about was be smarter when it comes to trading, right? Because what a lot of people do is they'll buy one or two watches, and 3 months later, 4 months later, they'll try to trade that watch in. It's like, you're going to lose money on it. Not all the time, but in a market like this, like you're going to lose money on it. So instead of always trading in every 2 months because you're bored of something, try holding on and collecting a little bit more, right? Even though not everyone has that sort of capability.
Yeah, you need the money to buy in addition to what you have.
Exactly. But I think if you were to position yourself where people are growing more of a collection rather than flipping one watch constantly, because I know a lot of guys that are losing money that way, and guys that start off with $100,000 watch, a year later they have a $20,000 watch because they keep trading after a month, 2 months, and it's like the market doesn't move fast enough to keep up with that. It's
the goal is to go the opposite way, start with 20,000 and trade it up to 100.
Exactly. So not stop trading, but definitely start looking towards building a collection, because the guys who are making out in a market like this are the guys that have bought watches in the past 3 years and are holding on, and they're going to plan to hold on for at least another year, 2 years, and really, hopefully they'll make money or break even. But
my thoughts are always that, like, okay, if I buy this watch today and it drops, another 10% within the next 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, I'm always scared that it's going to increase by way more than it's going to drop. You know what I mean? So yes, there's a chance that it might drop by 5-10%. Yeah. But if it starts going back up, it's going to go up by a lot more, and I'm going to have to catch it on the way up instead of just like getting it at that plateau number.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to try to chase something, because that's what happened in the height of the market was, people would hit me up, and I remember one time it was a 5726. It was at 105,000, and the guy was arguing with me. We were going back and forth over $2,000. So finally I got him over the edge. He sent me a wire for 105,000. I get the wire. I go to buy the watch. The guy says, "Hey bro, I'm sorry, it's sold." I was buying the watch for like 100,000, right? It was a quick flip. And I say, "Okay, no problem. I'll find another one." I go find another 110, 115. I was like, "Listen, I'm sorry, it's going up in price." A week later, the watch was at 140,000.
What is that today?
Now, a 5726 white dial is actually right about like 100.
Okay.
105,000. So, but in the moment, that guy was sort of left chasing. Okay, we'll buy it for 120. It's like, well, now they're 140. Okay, buy it for 140 a week later. Well, now they're 160. So the last thing you want to do is try to keep chasing, because you'll just end up spending more and more money. That's why you want to buy where it's sort of stable, even though the prices are low, maybe they'll come down a little bit more. But if you plan on holding on to your watches, you shouldn't have a problem.
You think if you didn't negotiate or spend the time negotiating that $2,000, you would have locked in that $100,000 price and got them for 105?
It would have been 103, but yeah, 100%. If I gave in, I would have 100%.
No.
Or if he gave in.
If he just didn't negotiate, if he said,
if he
105 is good, let's do it right now.
If he didn't negotiate, then 100%. Yeah, that's you kind of have to jump on deals and not take your time.
More than 2,000.
Yeah. I try to be as like open as possible when I'm doing deals. I like to lay everything out on the table like right away. You can think a little bit about it, but most times when I offer you something, you should probably hop on it because. Like I don't like to offer like high pricing, right? I try to find the best deal possible at the cheapest price possible. If I need to make money, I'll work backwards and try to get my costs down. But at the end of the day, like whatever I'm offering the client, it's a good deal most times. So
how are you personally dealing with the stress of having to like maintain these high numbers in a down market? I'm
not really stressed. I'm not upset. My numbers are dropped, and I'm the most open person about that. I spoke about it on the Laps episode that a lot of people actually like. I was talking about like mental health and stuff like that, but really what I was trying to say is like consistency is key for me. I don't care if 1 month, I'm down a little bit, the next month I'm up a little bit. My months, they're not too far off, right? Whether it's down or up, there's still that even line, and that's what I'm focused on. I'm not really trying to go for the highest sales and then, 1 month is slow, and then I don't like that. Right? I like to be consistent. I like to know that the work I'm doing is consistent. I'm working hard. I'm reaching out to everyone that I can reach out to. And I'm trying to figure out ways to also improve that. Do more by doing less, if that makes any sense.
Work smarter, not harder.
Work smarter, not harder. Exactly. So, but it all comes down to consistency. So no stress. I'm still consistent, even though things have dropped a little bit. Even if I'm 10% lower than my sales were, in the height of the market, if I can keep that 10% during the slowdown of the market, then I'm still happy.
Yeah, you have to be realistic. I mean, the height of the market was exactly that, a height.
Yeah.
You can't maintain that when the market is not at that same level.
Exactly.
So as long as like mentally you're clear on that, and like, I can't do that $5 million, $3 million a month,
right.
$2 million, during this sort of market. My numbers are solid. I'm not slacking. I'm not killing myself trying to achieve some imaginary numbers.
Yeah, true. I mean, it all comes down to like consistency because yes, theoretically, like, okay, this month I could work 24 hours a day, smack 3, 4, 5 million in a month, but how consistent is that? It's not consistent, right? And it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable either. Ask any person that's doing very well in sales in their company. Yes, some of these guys are top performers, right? But they're not top performers all the time, right? Because these guys that are coming into some companies or whatever that are doing crazy numbers, slowly, unless you're like a miracle, slowly it dies out. It's not consistent and it's not sustainable. Even from a health standpoint, which I realized last year, is I was doing all these high numbers and then I looked back at the end of the year and I was fat as fuck. So I was like, I was so...
You look like you're in great shape now.
Oh yeah, no, I sort of fell back into it because I had to pick myself up out of the slower times. But you can have a lot of money, but what's the point of having money if you can't really enjoy it in a healthy way, right? So health is important. And
health is wealth.
Health is wealth. Exactly. It's a perfect saying.
Really?
Everything I just said summed up in one thing.
But
health is actually wealth. Yeah, it's true.
So on an episode, Kevin was saying how he only sold 2 watches. Do you have any insight into how Kevin's doing, now?
Kevin? I mean, listen, Kevin's one of those guys who just works his absolute ass off, but in the smartest way possible. He's very clear with his clients like me, and I like how Kevin has his flow of things. But in terms of his actual numbers, I would say he's pretty consistent. Yeah. He's one of those guys that you wouldn't think has things organized or together because he has like ADHD, he's all over the place, but he really has his shit on lock. Like
that's like that salesman background that he comes from and like that all that experience.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin's been doing sales longer than I've been I don't even know. I think I was in 8th grade when Kevin started doing sales. Kevin's killing it and he's consistent and that's what we like to see. So no complaints, honestly.
Anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to bring up?
I'm just trying to think like anything that I've wanted to cover. The trades thing was honestly one thing I wanted to talk about on like some sort of podcast was like, I hate to see people that buy watches off me come a month later and want to trade stuff in and expect to get the same amount.
What's their motivation for trading it in? Like,
A lot of guys, I mean, really, it just comes down to not being able to, no disrespect, but not being able to afford a collection, right? Not everyone can afford 2, 3, 4 watches, you know? They have families, they have children, they have college funds, you know, they want to put that money into. So a one watch collection a lot of times is more practical for some people. But the issue with that is, you know, they get bored pretty easily. So if you buy a Batman for $15,000 and a month later you want to trade it in and you want to get, you know, a Panda, you know, obviously you're going to take a small percentage cut from that watch. It's just how it is in the market. It's no longer an upwards market where if you buy a Batman for $15,000, you know, next month it's worth $20,000.
Plus, it's almost like I don't want to say it's like a car, but it is like if you paid $15,000 for it today, if you want to sell it back to me, I need to buy it back from you for lower, less than I sold it to you, obviously.
Yeah. Why is it like that? Like, why are cars and watches like, the car market has always been this market where it's like, you know, you're going to lose on a car, so don't expect anything going into it. Whereas with watches, it's like people have this this thing where it's like, okay, if I buy this watch, I have to make money on it. Like, go into it like you're buying a car. Like, you're not going to make money on it. Just enjoy what you have.
Before the
margins are smaller.
Before like the craziness, it's pretty much how it was. Nobody actually bought a watch thinking, I'm going to hold this, you know, when I'm just going to get rid of it in 30 days.
Yeah, exactly. For me,
I started making money doing that.
Yeah, for me, the best way to put the watch collecting is just, it's an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
Like, you're buying into something that you're enjoying, right? It's like going on a vacation. Like, that money's basically gone, but you get to experience, you know, what you're experiencing. So it's the same with a watch. If you're going to put $15,000 into a watch, enjoy the watch, wear it, and expect to lose a little bit of money on it. And that's just a part of the experience. You know, if you make money, it's a bonus. Like,
I think when people say it's an alternative asset, it's because it does hold value more than something else. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, I could go and, you know, spend $15,000 on Gucci. Like,
correct.
It would be amazing. I would be able to wear Gucci for, you know, a year and a half, but I'm not going to go and sell those pieces and make money on it. You know, it's, but with watches, it's like you can buy a watch and safely know that at least in a year, it could be worth around the same, or maybe a little less, maybe a little higher. But either way, your money is sort of safe in a watch and you get to enjoy it every single day.
Especially over the long term, you know.
Over the long term, yeah.
1 year, 3 year, 5 years, 10 years, you're bound, if not break even, make money.
Exactly. I think the longer term play is the smartest play. Guys that get into watches and maybe they sell it in 6 months, it's like, you know, if you held on to that for maybe 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, like, you'd really start to see something, because these watches are not going to be made forever, right? Like a Daytona Panda, right? They're going to end up changing it in 5-10 years. So, you know, look at the Daytonas from 20 years ago. Like, look what they're doing. I mean, not 20 years ago. Like, those are actually in the dumps 50 years ago.
Again, they're not in the dumps compared to what they were paid for 20 years ago.
Right. Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, white dial 116520 is, you know, you could probably pick one up for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8,000 back then. Like, you know, and now they're 20,000. So
I don't know what the percentage is there.
But I think what I would focus on right now, if I was a buyer in this market, is to find pieces that are a little more rare, a little more special. Maybe they made less of, or specific dial configurations that, you know, aren't always the first to go. Like, I'm just trying to think of one right now, like specifically AP, or even
like I fell in love with it because it's so unique. It's not something that you're ever going to see somebody else with.
Yeah, exactly. And I think those sort of pieces are really going to start taking off as more people start to appreciate watches, because right now we're in a market where new people are still coming in, and they're still understanding watches, and they're still looking to see, like, oh, what is a watch? Why is it so special? You know? So a lot of people are buying basic stuff right now, but maybe as they progress as a watch collector, as a watch enthusiast, they'll start buying more special stuff, which is where the market for those unique pieces will start to come up.
Yeah. I mean, look, if I was, and I guess I am a buyer, I don't buy a lot of watches.
Yeah.
This is a good time to buy. I mean,
it's a great time to buy. Yeah.
Plateaued. Prices have come down to like normal.
Yeah.
If you wanted to buy yourself a watch to like celebrate something, you know.
Prices are where they were when I first started in this industry about like 3 or 4 years ago. And it's weird because back then I look at my pictures and I remember I was like posting pictures for LB with pricing, and I'm like, oh shit, like, you know, before in the height of the market, I would look back on my pictures and see pricing and be like, God damn. But now it's like, oh, it's pretty normal, you know? Okay, like a rose gold Daytona in this setup, it's $50K, you know? Oh, that's what it was back then. Okay. you know,
it's a good thing.
I think it's a good thing. Yeah, a lot of people during the hype, they were wishing like, oh, I wish pricing would go back to that. And now that it's back to that, they're like, oh well, it's gonna go down more. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. You know, buy what you like now and enjoy it. You know why?
Never happy.
No, never happy. But don't buy something because of the value end of it. Buy something because you actually like it and you want to enjoy it. You know, I find that people that do that, 9 times out of 10, they always make out.
Yeah, they win.
They always make out. Even if it seems like, to me, sometimes people buy things and I'm like, oh, it's a little high, but they love it, they enjoy it, and a year later they text me and say, hey, I want to sell this, and it's usually works out for them. So
all right, well, thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
no, of course.
Always good to hear from you. I'll catch you later.
All right, get that on camera.
Guys, thank you so much for joining in for another episode of Gray Market Podcast. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to click that button and subscribe. Like, comment, share. Let us know your thoughts about the episode and about what we're doing here on the Gray Market and at the Luxury Bazaar. I'll see you next time on another episode of Gray Market Podcast.